My sister always treated me like her personal cleanup crew, but when I arrived at my mountain cabin for a peaceful solo Christmas getaway, only to find her throwing a party for strangers as if it were her house, something inside me broke silently, but completely. I sat on the stiff polyester comforter of the motel bed, the smell of stale coffee and industrial cleaner hanging in the air. The rage from the bungalow hadn't faded. It had just cooled, settling in my stomach like ice. It wasn't the hot, screaming anger Megan expected. It was clinical. I opened my laptop. The glowing screen felt like the only familiar thing in the world. I didn't open my manuscript. I opened a new spreadsheet. I wasn't having a breakdown. I was running a balance sheet. I started to type. Line 1, Megan's downtown loft apartment. I was the guarantor. But more than that, I'd been subsidizing it for 2 years. I typed in the number $2,500 every month. Line 2, the car. A $45,000 luxury sedan that Kevin, her crypto-obsessed husband, drove. My name was on that loan, my credit securing their image. Line 3, the credit card, an emergency card I'd given them. I logged into the bank. The balance was $19,008 to $100, not emergencies. Dinners, clothes, weekend trips. I stared at the total. It was staggering. And as I looked at the numbers, the real question finally hit me. Not how could they do this, but why did I let them? For my entire life, I'd been the responsible one, the rock, the fixer, and I'd always wondered why this role felt so heavy, so inescapable. Now, in this sterile motel room, I finally understood. It's a concept psychologists call parentification. It's a trap. It's what happens when a child is forced to become the caregiver. When our parents divorced, I, the older sister, became the little adult. I was the one who mediated, the one who soothed, the one who paid the bills as soon as I got my first job. I was praised for being so mature, while Megan was allowed to be the sensitive one. I wasn't being a good sister. I was playing a role I'd been cast in decades ago, and Megan was playing hers. My help wasn't generosity. It was a symptom of a sickness. My need to fix was her permission to break. I rubbed my eyes, trying to summon the familiar sting of guilt. But there was nothing, only clarity. This wasn't a family dynamic. It was a subscription I'd been paying for, and they had just finally broken the terms of service. My compassion wasn't a renewable resource. It was an account they had just massively overdrafted. Right on cue, my phone lit up on the nightstand. The screen pulsed with the poison I had become accustomed to. A text from Megan. You're seriously overreacting. It was just a party. God, stop being so selfish. Selfish. The word they always used to pull the leash. A text from Kevin, her publisher, can wait. Family is more important. Dismissing my career, my $50,000 contract, like it was a hobby. Then the final escalation. A notification from Facebook. Sharon, Kevin's mother, had tagged me in a public post. So sad it read, when successful people forget who really matters. Some people are just so cold and selfish they'd throw their own family out on the street over a tiny inconvenience. We know who you really are. I watched as the likes and agrees rolled in from their mutual friends. Heartless. Unbelievable. I'm so sorry, Sharon. I read the post once. Twice. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel shame. I felt free. They hadn't just insulted me. They had just given me my permission slip. They had just armed me. This was no longer a family dispute. It was an audit, and the accounting was about to begin. I didn't reply to Sharon's post. I didn't defend myself. I just took a screenshot. Then I called my lawyer. Sarah, I said, my voice perfectly even, I need to sever all financial ties with my sister Megan and her husband Kevin. Immediately. Lauren Sarah's voice was warm, but all business. I've been waiting for this call for 3 years. What's the situation? I forwarded her the screenshot of the Facebook post. This is what they call a tiny inconvenience. My $50,000 deadline is what they call selfish. I'm done. Understood, she replied. Start with the contracts. I'll draft the official cease and desist regarding the slander. You handle the accounts you're a guarantor on. Be factual. No emotion. No emotion, I repeated. That won't be a problem. I hung up and opened my email. This wasn't revenge. This was an extraction. My first email was to the property manager of Megan's loft, to whom it may concern, effective, immediately. I am terminating my guarantee on the lease for Unit 7B, occupied by Megan and Kevin. The $2,500 monthly rent subsidy paid from my account is to be canceled starting today. Future non-payment is their responsibility alone. I clicked send. The sound was quiet, final. My second email was to the auto finance company. Subject termination of cosigner agreement. Please be advised that I am formally withdrawing my financial guarantee on the $45,000 loan for the sedan VIN number. I attached the relevant clause from my contract. I will not be responsible for any payments hereon. Please proceed according to your policies. Send. Another thread cut. The last one was the credit card, the $20,000 balance. I drafted the email to the bank's fraud and liability department attaching my original guarantee agreement. I am immediately closing this account and formally disputing all charges. This card was provided for emergencies only, and the $20,000 balance is a result of unauthorized use. I will no longer be financially responsible. My finger hovered over the send button. And for a second, just 1 second, the ice in my stomach cracked. A hot wave of guilt surged up. She's your sister, a voice whispered. The old voice. The one that sounded like my mother. The one that had run my life. You can't just abandon her. What will happen to her? We're taught that blood is the ultimate bond, that it demands endless sacrifice, endless forgiveness, that to walk away from family is the most unnatural, heartless thing a person can do. We're taught to endure the fire just because it's family fire. But I looked at the email, I looked at the Facebook post, and I realized the truth they never tell you. Sometimes letting go isn't an act of cruelty, it's an act of courage. It's the final, most painful admission that the person you're trying to save doesn't want to be saved, they just want you to drown with them. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. You have to soothe the guilt. You have to understand that the pain of cutting the tie is the price of your own peace. It is the cost of finding yourself again. I took a deep breath. The ice refroze. The guilt was gone. I clicked send. The guillotine had fallen. It was done, all of it. I closed the laptop, and for the first time in my adult life, I didn't feel responsible for Megan's future. I felt nothing at all. I worked from the motel for 2 weeks. I was behind on my manuscript, but the words were finally coming. The silence was productive. I had forwarded all the legal matters to Sarah and archived every incoming text from Megan and Kevin. I didn't read them. I didn't need to. My phone rang. It was Sarah. "Lauren," she said. Her voice was different, not just professional. It was tight. "Hey, Sarah, any news on the cease and desist?" "Forget that," she said flatly. "Well, don't forget it, but we have a much bigger problem. Or Rather, they do. I waited. When you authorized me to review your financial exposure, she said, I pulled your full bank statements, not just the shared accounts. I was looking for any other co-signed loans I might have missed. Okay. And she said, I found a transfer, $10,000 from your personal savings account 3 weeks ago. It was sent to a numbered account at a crypto exchange. The air in the motel room felt thin. $10,000. I remembered Kevin just last month bragging about some new coin, some guaranteed moonshot. I'd ignored him. I didn't authorize that, I said. My voice was a whisper. I know, Sarah replied. The digital signature doesn't match your previous authorizations. It's theft, Lauren. Not entitlement, not family drama. It's felony-level theft. I closed my eyes. I expected to feel betrayed or hurt or even angry. I felt nothing. Just the dull, heavy thud of confirmation, the final piece of the puzzle clicking into place. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a party that got out of hand. This was a calculated pattern of extraction. They didn't just see me as a resource. They saw me as a target. What does this mean? I asked. It means, Sarah said, this is no longer a family law issue. It's a criminal one. I've already prepared the report. All you have to do is sign it, and I'll file it with the police. There was no hesitation. Send it over. We hung up. I stared at the wall, the gaudy landscape painting. It was no longer about my writing robe or the family photo. It was about $10,000. My laptop pinged. An email. It wasn't from Sarah. It was from the property manager of Megan's loft. Subject notice of eviction. Dear Miss Lauren, per your termination of guarantee, a formal demand for payment was sent to the tenants. As no payment has been received, a 14-day eviction notice has been served. I read the words. 14 days. I archived the email. Another ping. This one from the auto finance company, subject, vehicle, repossession. This email is to confirm that the sedan VIN number has been successfully repossessed due to default on the loan agreement. The vehicle is in our possession. Attached was a grainy photo of the sedan hooked to a tow truck, its hazard lights flashing in the pre-dawn gloom. A few months ago, this would have destroyed me. The guilt would have eaten me alive. Now I looked at the repossession photo. I looked at the eviction notice. I thought about the $10,000. This wasn't a tragedy. It was just the consequences finally arriving in the mail. The ripple effect had begun, and I felt no obligation to stop it. The sound of pounding on my apartment door jolted me from my work. It wasn't a knock. It was a frantic, desperate hammering. I knew who it was. I looked through the peephole. Megan. She was soaked from the rain, her hair plastered to her face mascara, running in black streaks down her cheeks. She looked smaller than I'd ever seen her. I opened the door. Lauren! Thank God, she sobbed, lunging forward to hug me. I didn't move. I just stood there and she awkwardly stumbled back. Lauren, please, she cried, her voice cracking. You have to help me. You have to fix this. Fix what Meg and I asked. My voice was quiet. Everything she shrieked. It's all gone, Kevin. He's gone. He just left, took his laptop and disappeared. His parents won't answer my calls. They took the car, Lauren. They just took it. And the landlord? He's evicting me. I have nowhere to go. You did this. Ah, there it was. The pivot, the familiar script. My fault. It was always somehow my fault. For a lifetime, this was the moment I would have caved. The moment the parentification trap would have snapped shut, I would have felt the crushing guilt opened my door and started making calls, fixing her mess, sacrificing my own life to repair hers. But I just looked at her. The ice in my stomach was solid. I felt nothing. No pity, no anger, just to an ending. I need money, Lauren, she whispered, her eyes narrowing into the manipulative plea I knew so well. Just enough to get back on my feet. You have to help me. I'm your sister. Yes, I said. You are. I turned, walked calmly to my desk, and picked up a single sheet of paper. I walked back and held it out to her. She looked at it confused. What is this? A loan agreement. I'll sign it. I'll sign anything. It's a bank statement, I said. She took it. I watched her eyes scan the page looking for an account balance, a lifeline, and then I saw them freeze. I saw the exact moment she saw the line item I had highlighted in red. The $10,000 transfer to the crypto exchange. Her face went pale, paler than the rain. The manufactured hysteria vanished, replaced by the cold, flat look of someone who'd been caught. She stammered, I don't know what that is. Kevin. That must have been Kevin. He must have. It doesn't matter who did it, Megan, I said, my voice still, quiet, clinical. You came here and asked me to help you. The truth is, I already did. Her eyes snapped up to mine, searching. I helped you by stopping the cycle, I said. I helped you by finally showing you what a real consequence looks like. And I helped myself by filing a formal criminal complaint for that $10,000 theft. The color drained completely from her face. You, what? You called the police on me. I filed a report for the theft, I corrected her. The theft that happened in my home from my account. The rest, the car, the apartment, that's just the natural result of your own choices. That's just accounting. She just stared, speechless. The script was gone. She had no more lines. Please, she whispered, a real terrified whisper. Lauren, you can't. I did, I said. I took the bank statement from her trembling fingers. Goodbye, Megan. And I gently, firmly closed the door. I didn't slam it, I just closed it. I turned the deadbolt. The pounding started again, but this time it was weaker, punctuated by sobs. I walked back to my desk, sat down, and opened my manuscript. The sound of her cries faded, replaced by the quiet, steady click of my own keyboard. The climax wasn't a scream. It was a click. The sound of a lock engaging. The sound of a file being sent. The sound of a door closing, finally, for the last time. 6 months later. I'm standing in my bungalow, the real one. The one that smells like sea salt and old books, not cheap beer and regret. It's been cleansed, as my friend Maya calls it. The first thing I did after the legal mess was settled was hire professionals. I threw out the sofa they'd sat on, the rug they'd spilled on, and the coffee table that held the ashtray. Now the room is mine. My desk holding my new laptop is back in its proper place by the window overlooking the Pacific. The parents' wedding photo is back on the desk, right where it belongs. I have a new security system, new locks, new boundaries written in steel. My publisher loved the manuscript. The raw, focused energy I'd found in that motel room had translated to the page. The $50,000 advance was secured, and the book was already getting buzz. The $10,000 Kevin stole was wired back to my account 2 months ago, a condition of his plea deal to avoid jail time for a larger set of fraud charges. Tonight the bungalow is full of life again. But this time it's a life I chose. I'm hosting a dinner party. my chosen family, Maya from my writers group, my agent, a few old friends who I'd reconnected with after the fog of Megan lifted. They're laughing, gathered around the new coffee table, drinking wine from my new glasses. I look at them, my chest, feeling full in a way that has nothing to do with anxiety or obligation. And I feel this overwhelming need to speak not to them, but to everyone who's ever felt like I did. This is a letter to you, to the person who always feels like you're on the outside of your own life, the one on the edge of the family photo, the one who does all the work but never gets the credit, the one who feels too sensitive or too difficult just for asking for your needs to be met. I want you to know you are not too anything, and you are not alone. Your value is not determined by how much you can endure for others. Your worth is not a measure of your sacrifice. You are allowed to leave the table. You are allowed to build your own. The family you build from respect and honesty and mutual care will always be stronger than the one you were born into by obligation. You are allowed to find your own bungalow. My phone buzzes on the kitchen counter. I pick it up idly. An email from a strange new account. The subject, a new opportunity. Hey, Lauren, it reads. I know things ended. Weird. No hard feelings. Listen, I'm out of that whole mess and I've got a new project. It's a crypto coin ground floor guaranteed 100% return in 60 days. I'm only letting in my most trusted circle. I thought of you. I'm offering you a chance to invest $10,000. I read it, and then I read it again, and I start to laugh. Not a small chuckle. A deep, full, genuine belly laugh. The kind of laugh that feels like a spring cleaning for your soul. The audacity, the delusion, the unchangeable, predictable nature of a man like Kevin. 6 months ago, this email would have sent me into a spiral of rage. Tonight, it's just funny. I press the delete button without a second thought. I pick up my wine glass and walk back to my friends. Maya is telling a terrible joke. I smile and I raise my glass. They all raise theirs back to me, smiling, no agenda, no hidden cost. Just presence. I am not a resource. I am not a fixer. I am not a bank. I am just Lauren. And for the first time, that is completely and totally enough. So I want to ask you, when was a time you had to choose between your own peace and a toxic obligation? What did you learn when you finally chose yourself? I'd love to hear your story in the comments.